Several YouTube channels have recently announced that they are parting ways with the USCCA. Is the ship sinking? Let's talk about that. Welcome to the Patriot Training YouTube channel. My name is Clay Howell. I'm the owner and head firearms instructor at Patriot Training. The purpose of this video is to give a reaction and, more importantly, to bring about some questions that have come about since several big YouTube gun channels have recently parted ways with USCCA, and they've made that very public. Over about the past week, maybe longer, I've seen 4 larger YouTube gun channels and their content creators have come out and made videos announcing that they are parting ways with the USCCA. For those that don't know, the USCCA is one of the larger companies that sells concealed carry insurance. And the purpose of this insurance, of course, is to cover you for legal fees, bail, that sort of thing, should those things be required, should you get into a self-defense shooting or encounter. Now, for the record, I am a member of the USCCA and have been since 2019. Also, for the record, I am a partner with USCCA and have been since 2019. I receive a small finder's fee each and every time a USCCA representative presents at one of my firearms classes. I would also like to make sure I give a shout out to my friends Brian and Mitch, who are my USCCA representatives. I'm in a peculiar spot where I live closer to one, but the range is closer to the other, so they both have come and presented at my classes. Also, shout out to their boss, Maria, the district manager. She was my rep when I first joined. These 3 people are some of the good people in the gun community, that's for sure. So, Brian, Maria, Mitch, keep up the good work, my friends. Also, for the record, I am a licensed property and casualty insurance agent in the state of Tennessee and have been for many years. I have worked in insurance since 2006. I researched all of the policy languages of the 3 major companies before deciding to partner with one back in 2019. And by the 3 major companies, I mean USCCA, CCW Safe, and US Law Shield. I researched the information I could find online and discovered and read policy languages, what they covered, what they did not cover, before making my choice. I spent a little bit of time researching before I reached out. They did not reach out to me. I reached out to them, and their representative for the local area at the time, Maria, she made an appointment with me, and we discussed the features, benefits, and all the caveats of being a partner at a Burger King over a couple of Diet Cokes back in 2019. Another caveat, all 3 of these companies have had major improvements and have made major strides in what they cover over the last 5 or 6 years. There have been times where one company offered a little bit more, another company offered a little bit more, but they each keep going up and up each year in value. Prices have increased accordingly as well. However, what you get versus what you pay for right now is much, much better than it used to be. Competition breeds success, and right now we've got some of the best self-defense policies that you could possibly imagine on the market today. And no, USCCA is not perfect. There have been times throughout the past that their coverage in one area or another just maybe wasn't quite as good as the competition. For the record, they have changed almost all of those. They have upped coverages, made things right. They continue to improve. Additionally, they have in the past, and maybe still do, employ persons with whom I would vehemently disagree. The anti-gunner Tim Kennedy comes to mind. That's not a good move. I'm sure that they're under some kind of contractual obligation to keep him on board for a certain amount of time. I really hope they reconsider renewing that contract and don't do it. And the last caveat before we get going is that the USCCA, and rightly so, they tout not only the coverage they provide, but also the training that they go above and beyond and provide. And currently, when you buy a USCCA membership, the coverage you get, no matter what level of membership, the coverage is the same. The difference in the price is for how much training you have access to on their web portal. Without a doubt, additional training is absolutely valuable. USCCA has some really good training. I've even seen some of the training of the competitors. That is good too. This video is not going to touch on the training part. We're going to talk just solely about the coverage, because I believe that the vast majority of people who purchase USCCA, US Law Shield, CCW Safe, or whatever else, I believe they're purchasing coverage, not training. So let's talk about that first and foremost. All right, now let's talk about those 4 YouTube videos, those 4 YouTube video content creators, and the videos they released, and why that caused me to want to interrupt your regularly scheduled Patriot Training program and make a special video here just, right on the very eve of Fridays when I like to release videos. And, it's caused a lot of questions, my friends. And these questions need answers, and I don't have those answers, and I wanted to reach out to those who do watch this and share with you my thoughts, and more importantly, the questions that we need answers to based on these videos. I want to make sure that you understand I'm not picking apart anything anybody has said. What I am doing is I'm asking logical questions that arise once I watch these videos. First off, in what I am certain is a stroke of irony, all 4 of these YouTube content creators said almost exactly the same thing. What are the chances that 4 different individuals creating content independently would come up with almost the exact same talking points? Is that a coincidence? You have to be the judge. In a stroke of what I'm certain is pure irony, all 4 of these YouTube content creators announced in their videos that they are moving to an organization called Attorneys on Retainer. I'm sure this is certainly irony and just a coincidence. But is it? You have to be the judge. In a stroke of what I'm certain is complete irony, all 4 of these content creators mentioned as one of the reasons they were leaving the USCCA the Kayla Giles case. For those that don't know, Kayla Giles purchased a pistol, purchased a USCCA policy, and then less than 2 weeks later shot her estranged husband. There was a court case. USCCA went into action and fronted $50,000 to the criminal defense attorney for Giles. In that court case, a number of things came to light, and I'm sure a lot of these came to light in discovery, because the USCCA, after a certain point, decided to no longer cover Giles. And I'm certain that may have had something to do with the fact that it was discovered that Giles intentionally hid her laptop and tried to have a friend remove it from a scene altogether. When law enforcement found that laptop had some very incriminating evidence of things she had been searching for. A quick, simple Google search yielded this in like 2 seconds. Additionally, there was a video that showed what happened between Giles and her estranged husband. Giles testified that her husband came up to the car aggressively and was trying to yank the door open, and the video simply doesn't show that. Additionally, there was eyewitness testimony that contradicted Giles' claim that her estranged husband came up to the door and yanked it open. That individual said that the door was simply opened, not in an aggressive manner. This contradicted what Giles said. So after all this evidence, the court decided to convict Giles of second-degree murder. I'm sure it's irony, but in a completely unrelated case where Giles sued the USCCA and the insurance company that acts on the USCCA's behalf, Giles sued them for failing to follow through with their contract and pay for the criminal defense. And in a separate court under a separate judge from the murder trial, the other judge, the other court, ruled that case be dismissed. In other words, he found no fault on behalf of the USCCA and the insurance company that in dropping her. They found that the policy language had been violated. It's important to note that the USCCA and legitimate concealed carry insurance companies are not in the business of covering felons for their felonious acts and paying for attorneys there because of that. The USCCA exists to provide coverage for attorneys and that sort of thing for people who are involved in legitimate self-defense and happen to get caught up in the legal system, and this happens every day, my friends. For those that doubt, I've put links in the description to each and every one of these, and a simple Google search will yield you these results. So my question is this: why do these people who tout the Attorneys on Retainer program and the people that say they are spokespeople for Attorneys on Retainer, why do they continue to press forward with these falsehoods, with these fabrications? These things have been debunked. Why continue to press forward? You'll have to be the judge. In a stroke of what I am certain is pure irony, all four of these YouTube content creators referenced the false claim that USCCA dropped coverage on one Mr. Alan Colie. This gentleman was assaulted, I believe, in a mall and had to pull and fire his gun in self-defense. And the false claim is that USCCA refused to cover him, and therefore he was forced to go with a public defender. Mr. Colie has gone on record as saying that USCCA most certainly did not refuse to cover him, and he's made that perfectly clear. So the question remains, why do these people still continue to press forward with that falsehood, with that fabrication? You be the judge. Another question. How many smooth brains who can't understand simple policy language can comment in a single video that they dropped USCCA because insurance companies always try to weasel their way out of paying, and yet these people are turning right around and purchasing a similar product with a bunch of attorneys? Like attorneys have never weaseled their way out of anything. You be the judge. Another question. How many smooth brains still comment about USCCA's recoupment clause, which USCCA has gone on the record multiple times and clarified? And yet, the fact of the matter is USCCA paid out $50,000 in the Giles case that we've already discussed and has not attempted to recoup that. It's almost like what USCCA was saying is true and what these smooth brains have been brainwashed to believe is false. But once again, that's a question that needs answers, and you be the judge. Another question that needs to be answered is, if you find yourself in a self-defense situation and you find yourself on the wrong end of the law after that and you need coverage, do you want to be represented by an attorney out of Arizona? Or would you prefer to be represented by an attorney who is more local and knowledgeable in your state, in your jurisdiction? The reason I ask is this. Accurate statistics on citizen-involved shootings are very difficult to come by. However, the ones that I tend to want to believe that are the most accurate indicate that by and large, when citizens are involved in shootings, that those tend to happen fairly close to where they live. Not states and many hundreds of miles away. They tend to happen fairly close to home. So the question becomes, do you want to be represented by somebody who is an out-of-state attorney or a local attorney? You be the judge. Now, as for me, I think I would prefer to be represented by somebody locally. I went on the USCCA website and I looked up some of the criminal defense attorneys here in Middle Tennessee. And a couple of names popped out as very good attorneys that I know. First is John Harris, the president of the TFA, Tennessee Firearms Association. He has done work on criminal defense for persons in this case. Another one is somebody else I've met, Dana McClendon. Dana's a funny guy, great guy, awesome attorney, and he has multiple times been on the criminal defense side and defended people when they had to defend themselves. USCCA also affords me the opportunity to hire my own attorney, and they will pay that attorney for me. So I live in Wilson County, Tennessee, and I might choose my friend Frank Lanham, who is a criminal defense attorney extraordinaire. Mr. Lanham is the outgoing president of the Tennessee Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. And so if I happen, for example, to need a lawyer here in Wilson County, I think somebody would be hard-pressed to find a better criminal defense attorney than Frank Lanham, and USCCA affords me that opportunity. If that kind of an opportunity is worth it for you or not, well, you be the judge. Another coverage question. Do you want to have $500,000 worth of bail covered or $2.5 million? You be the judge. Another point. Do you want civil defense judgment coverage? You be the judge. Another question. Do you want a company that has a history of satisfied customers who've had to take advantage of the product? You be the judge. See the link below. Make no mistake, the USCCA doesn't need small potatoes Clay Howell at Patriot Training to get on YouTube and defend them. That's not the purpose of this video whatsoever. What I want to do is I want to provide you with some questions that legitimately need answers before somebody makes a decision on which company and coverage to buy. The USCCA can and will stand up and defend themselves against false allegations. They have in the past. I have no doubt they will in the future. They have people that are very well paid to do so. They have the resources, and they also have the direct knowledge of what's happening in these cases so that they can make these things public. Now, understand they can't make all of these things public right in the middle of a criminal proceeding. That is just, that would violate attorney-client privilege. That would not be proper. And, of course, you don't want to make something public unless that person is okay with it becoming public. So there's all these things that feed into it. And in my mind, you have to be skeptical of a company who would swoop in like a vulture and start claiming that a company like the USCCA is not covering when they know good and darn well the USCCA can't comment on that at that moment in time. Again, I'm not making accusations. We need the answers to these questions. And, you need to be the judge of these. And these are questions that I've asked, and I think you need to be asking as well. My last thought is this. In each of these situations where a false allegation came up, the USCCA has taken the high ground, not only officially with their president, Tim Schmidt, with Tom Grieve, but also all the way down to their local representatives, Mitch, Brian, their district manager, Maria, my friends that I get to contact with at USCCA. They always, every single one of them all throughout the organization, always takes the high ground, and they rise above. They don't get into the little ticky-tack infighting and spats and things of that sort. So my final question becomes this. Do you want to buy coverage from a company that makes false allegations, or do you want to buy coverage from a company that's always taking the high ground? Once again, last time I'm going to say it on this video, you be the judge. Well, that's all I've got. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I'll remind you, you don't have to be a patriot to train, but you do have to train if you want to be a patriot. Take care.